Hello, hello, hello. This is Bertram Lansico, and welcome to the Roundup. Wow, here we are. It's been a minute. Last week I was in Louisiana. As you might have seen some of the pictures that I posted, we were at the Louisiana HEMA conference. Man, made so many connections, talked to so many people. One of the most gangster things I did was I was introduced to this lady named Valerie, and she's an inpatient coder, and she works for this company. I know who her recruiter then 15 or so years ago was her recruiter. Now this gentleman owns a staffing company, and she's been with him through the thick and thin. And you know what's so gangster what I did, ladies and gentlemen? I was on my cell phone and I texted him. I'm like, hey, guess who I'm sitting next to? Yes, it's Valerie. And you know what he told me? He said, Bertram, she's family. He was telling me, Bertram, don't do it, man. Don't go into recruiting mode. I said, no. I'm going to give you a pass today. But no, we were not there to recruit, ladies and gentlemen. We were not there to develop business. We were there to do exactly what we do on the Roundup every single week, and that is just to make connections and to listen to what's going on. And it was powerful. I mean, for me, quite honestly, it's one of the best conferences that I've been to in a very long time. What are you talking about, Bertram? It was in Alexandria. We're just saying it's not New Orleans, okay? Beautiful place. I actually liked it. It had a very homely feel, and they had outside events. So the great thing about that is that it allowed us to not be in the stuffy conference room when you're just so uptight and button up shirt, and people put their jeans on and went outside. And we were really able to connect. And day 2 for me was when I really went in deep. So day 1, I was like, hey, let me just connect with my connections and people that I know. And as I promote people to do, when you're there, you really want to connect with new people. And I saw and I took note of a few people dancing. And I didn't dance the first day of the first night. But the second day, you know what I did? In the hall, in the middle of the conference hall, when I saw somebody that danced, I cut a rug. I said, hey, what's up? I got you. What's going on? What's going on? And I just broke him, had him laughing. And then I was like, hey, what is your name? I'm Bertram. You're okay, cool. I had this question. Do we really have a coder shortage? What do you think? If you can hire coders, and one person told me that she would hire 10 coders. I'm like, 10 coders? Well, you don't have any coders? Well, she said, no, Bertram, I would replace all the coders that we have. I'm like, oh, okay. That's like a loaded answer. What does that even mean? And I just was diving deep and listening and taking notes and listening and taking notes. And if I can show you what I showed my compliance director, we had 4 points just from that conversation alone, to the next conversation, to the next conversation. And that's the thing. It's like, you can be successful just by digging in a little deep. You can be successful in this industry just by asking questions and also not talking a lot like I'm doing right now, but listening and learning what's important to people. Because this is the funny thing and what's interesting about the world. If somebody's having an issue, it's very likely somebody else is having that issue. And if you're able to have a solution or become a master of solving those issues, then you can become a subject matter expert and you can dive deep and just let that have your career. And that's what we always try to promote on the Roundup, getting connected with new people. And that's what I really did. And I'll be honest with you. I am naturally introverted. Bertram, what? Yes, I am naturally introverted. I am not the one to be on a live and stream and all of this stuff. But what I realized is we have issues. We have a lot of silos. And I also need to come out of my shell. So the same thing I'm asking for a lot of you to do. When they have that hiring manager or that CFO or that HIM director or the hiring manager for you to really connect with, I'm asking you to do the same thing. Just ask, just say, just introduce yourselves, shake a hand, look them in the eye, ask them a really interesting question. Like, hey, how has the conference been for you? What did you like? What didn't you like? Oh, you just came in today. Why did you miss yesterday? Oh, yesterday. Let me fill you in. And you know what? We're going to stand for a while. Let's sit down. And you just have that natural conversation. Well, Bertram, you've been doing this a long time. Nope. I think I'm just somewhat passionate about the industry that we are in. So for me, I believe that's where passion can really take us. And when people see that you have that genuineness and you have that passion, everything can happen. Talk to one of these people, everything's going fantastic. When people were dancing the second night, I was talking to this person for a long time. And this person gave me some things to consider for services that we're going to be offering to the industry here soon. And that person challenged me. And it wasn't a very awesome conversation, but I felt it was a good conversation overall. Because you know what? When you go with these clients in these C-suites, they're going to challenge you as well. So what did I do? I took notes, got to my team, came back, had answers for them. I texted them the answers. And the next time I saw them, they came in with this person in a blue dress. We'll just call her Miss K. So Miss K comes and Bertram, I want you to meet Miss K. I'm like, okay, cool, Miss K. Well, I have 2 speaking events today. We'll talk. me and Miss K talked for the entire third day. Like, she's so dynamic and could do so many things for Renown and what we are trying to do. It is crazy. And once again, I didn't go there recruiting. I didn't like, if I really need to find an impatient coder or something like that, I have strategies for that. I have a network. But when you're able to meet this person, and you know what I realized, ladies and gentlemen, there are ghosts out there. Okay, listen to me. There are ghosts. You guys know what ghosts are? Ghosts are the people that you cannot find on LinkedIn. I'm changing the definition. There are ghosts out there, meaning that you cannot really find these people unless you physically go to some of these conferences. And these people will give you their cell phone numbers. These people will tell you who the, hiring manager is. And these people will be able to help you. And when you have these people on tap, it is crazy. And this is the thing, ladies and gentlemen, because they're ghosts, not a lot of people can find them. So if you're that, that apprentice, or if you're that recruiter, if you're that salesperson, if you're that business owner that knows that ghost, because you just happen to see them at that place or that conference, you can have them as a contact. They can be in your Rolodex. You can have regular correspondence with them. And I'll talk to these ghosts and I say, hey, why aren't you on LinkedIn? Well, Bertram, I just don't really get down like that. They're like, okay, I can respect that. But when I looked at their credentials and everything that they're doing, and they know the people and they can introduce me to certain people, I'm like, yo, I need to get with the ghosts. So I've talked about in some of the speaking events that I've done, but I'm just going to coin the term. You got to try to meet the ghosts. Find out who the ghosts are, because those people usually run very deep and it's hard to get a hold of those people, and they don't want the spam. They don't want the noise sometimes that we have on LinkedIn. They don't want all of that reach out, but they're good and they know their stuff. So that's just a little bit of my feedback, but I love the conference. If anyone that's part of the staff or anyone that was a part of even the virtual Louisiana HEMA convention, I mean, please, if you saw any of my virtual or in person, please let them know that you love to have Bertram be on the first day. My leveraging your brand conversation and the talk that I gave, honest feedback from somebody in the audience is, Bertram, you should have been there the first day. And I was there the whole time. I was there from day one, right? Didn't have any delays that day, but it was crazy. And I'll love to be back next year. I mean, I'm looking forward to it already. But the Louisiana HEMA was fire. It was crazy. It was good. And you know what? It was really underserved. Not a lot of vendors, not a lot of people in attendance, but it really allowed us to make some good connections. Also, I cannot always say being at a bigger event is better, because people are just going to be that much scattered. It might be harder to get a hold of people. So you got to find that mix. But better to go if you can than not go. So I'm going to go really quickly to the comments. Please say hi. Tell us where you're from. How's the weather? We woke up this morning to 56-degree weather in Florida. That is unheard of. We are usually sweltering. It was hot last week. Like, if I went to any parks or theme parks and stuff with the kids, it was hot. I had to be in, my Lulus and all this stuff. But, as you can see, I have a little bit more than one layer of clothing. So we have Stephanie from Mass. Hey, you have been an avid follower of the Roundup. Really appreciate you. Jeanette as well. This LinkedIn user, hello from Georgia. And you are probably seeing me on your feed. If that's the case, you want to come in and join the event. Just as a little disclaimer as well, just because you comment, not all the comments come through, unfortunately, because of the platform that we're using. But if you're in right now, you like to say hello, just tell us that you're here, show us that you're here, wave your hand. Feel free to do that. We have somebody from India. Wow. I thought for the Roundup, it was mostly for US-based talent and people. I mean, that's what it says. It's supposed to be only limited to US based. But if you can view us from India, that's okay. Hey, I might need to think about it, because I'm going to be out of the country over the summer. Hopefully, we may need to do a test, make sure that everything works. So Jessica says that she can't wait to go to her first convention, and hello from Ohio. The Ohio convention is like happening right now. I think it's either on or it's going on. Ohio is a big, for some reason, maybe it's it's Cleveland Clinic, but Ohio is a big state for conventions. When I went, I think that year they had over like 800 attendees. Crazy. People and companies come and schools come in buses to that convention. So Jessica, I would encourage you, plan and save up, maybe even ask if an employer can contribute towards that. So if you can do that next year, because that is a big one. I'm going to try to go next year if I can. I didn't want to do it this year because I actually spent some time due to Louisiana away from my family, away from the kids. I spent like 3 days away from my kids during my son's spring break. At least my daughter will be in school next year. So I spent some time away from the family. So that's the only reason why I didn't do it. But that show was powerful enough. I still have some reaching out to do, some contacts. So if we connect in and if I got your number, I'll be calling you by the end of this week for sure. Okay. All right. So, yep. I see some people trying to tag people, ask them if they can come in. And here we go. This is another avid follower of the Roundup, Miss Evans. I really appreciate you. So we're already at the 11th minute. I guess I got to speed up. But Bertram was just, letting you know about the Lahima conference because it was just fantastic. It was great. I really had a really good time. And, I try my best to be as professional as possible. That's another thing I talk about, often. You'll see people out there cut on the rug and maybe having a little extra drink or two. You want to be careful about that. You just want to be careful about that. You never know what's going to happen. And if you're in a different city, a different state, who's there, you never really know because people are watching. But I always just try to be as professional as possible. And, for me, it's really hard because as much as I would like to, let's say, indulge in a little bit more, I can't do that because I'm not just representing myself. I'm representing my employees. So if Bertram is out there doing whatever, like, how is that going to reflect back on the company? So you have to always be very responsible. And somebody that knows all about that responsibility is the speaker that we're going to have today. So let's jump into the agenda. So why are we having the roundup? Because I wanted an easier form for us to connect, whether you be an employee or an employee, a vendor or subject matter expert within our area and within Revenue Cycle. Also share some jobs if I have them. I don't really have a lot of jobs today as we've been away, and I haven't really seen a lot of new jobs posted. Maybe a lot of more people on spring break, but that's okay. We'll probably have more next week. And just for all of us to learn, and of course, I'm going to have an Ask Mr. B section as well. We are going to have a place where you can go ahead and promote yourself if you're looking for jobs and opportunities. And what I love about this and what we figured out is you don't have to wait till the end. So if you're currently looking for a job and opportunity, share with us your name, what you're looking for, and an email address or some way that folks can get in contact with you, or ask them, send me a connection request and message me or something like that. Okay. Great thing about LinkedIn is that 1, this is recorded. 2, your comment and your profile will be saved. And we do have some recruiters and hiring managers that watch the roundup. Hint, hint, hint. So they can see you and they can see that you're looking for an opportunity, even if you're entry level, even if you, let's say, haven't even started. And also try to include your area. City and state matters a lot because certain employers, as I know, can only hire in certain city and states. You got to file and pay for the appropriate taxes. Make sure that tax money is going the right place. You can get fines for not doing that properly. As some people might say, that might hinder you getting an opportunity. I think in the end of the day, they're going to find out anyway, and it's going to help you because, hey, maybe this person doesn't have the experience, but they're within my local area. I want to hire them because we have a team that can train them. So you want to have that information. So share your name, share your contact information, share where you're at, and share what you're looking for. And try to limit the characters. Don't try to have a too long message because when you do that within this form, for some reason, it cuts the message off. So it's only going to show so much. So, and what I'll do is towards the end, I'm going to try to make that into just one. So I'll go through all the comments, and anybody that shared that they're open for opportunities, we're going to go ahead and promote you on there. Yeah, cool. All right. So today we're going to be learning more about billing and jumping into all of that. I think if you might have seen that last former slide wasn't updated, my apologies. Been busy, been traveling, but that's okay. So what we're going to be doing today, we're going to be talking to Rozmin. Rozmin is the CEO, and let me make this a little bit bigger for everyone. All right. Cool. Here we go. So Rozmin is a subject matter expert, and she's the CEO of CodeRight Healthcare Consulting. Brings over 19 years of comprehensive experience across all medical practice departments, holding multiple APC certifications, as you can see. And she has a unique perspective on the value and to empower independent physicians. So she's very passionate about medical billing. If you know anything about Rozmin, and she warned me, she said, Bertram, yes, you probably saw me on LinkedIn, and I might have been venting. And you know what? I appreciate that because when somebody's venting, especially when it's within their subject matter expertise or what they do on a day-to-day job, that is real to life, and that's like a true testimony right there, right? And we're going to talk about some of that because there's some billing issues happening within healthcare. It was estimated around like what 75% of billing in our industry is like has been affected by certain things going on. So we're going to jump into that. But yeah, she's passionate about billing, coding, compliance, and she's always educating herself to be a subject matter expert. So she does have podcast appearances and publications, and she loves to share her knowledge on LinkedIn. So we're going to take this presentation to the back and bring Miss Rozmin Bapat to the front. Hey, how are you doing?
Hey Bertram, how are you?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. And thank you for coming to the roundup. And I know it is not always, how can I say, advantageous to be on camera and all of those things. But you know what? You look fantastic. You look beautiful. Thank you for being here and welcome.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me, and I am happy to be here and
Yes.
chatting with you and your audience.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So let's go ahead and get started. Like 19 or so years ago, how did you get started within revenue cycle coding and billing?
It was actually my mother-in-law who
Okay.
suggested it. So I actually have a degree in marketing, and
Mm,
after I got married, I moved from Dallas to Houston and looking for jobs, entry level jobs in marketing, and was not getting anything that I really wanted, that really liked. I offered sales jobs, and I do not
yes.
like sales. I'm not good at it either. So because I've done some retail sales, when I was in high school, and I was told by my manager that I'm not a money maker. So I was like, okay, that's not one of my greatest suits. So
Mm-hmm.
um, so my father-in-law, he is a cardiologist. He's been retired now for over 10 years.
Okay.
But at that time he was in practice, and my mother-in-law suggested billing and coding. And because,
Mm.
eventually they wanted me to work for them. So, um, so I
Nice.
said, sure, I will try it.
Okay.
And I did enroll in a vocational college in Houston, and I mean, I liked it. I was good at it. So I said, okay, fine. And my father-in-law gave me my first job in healthcare. I started,
Nice.
did not like, cut me any slack, put me in the front desk.
Good.
So I was,
Good.
um, I was answering the phones. And of course, at that time, they were transitioning into EHR. They
Mm-hmm.
still
Yep.
had like those rooms of charts, those shelves that, were on a roller and all of that. So so pulling charts every day, filing charts every day, and
Mm.
doing all sorts of clerical things, faxing and copying and scanning and all of that. And then eventually, they took me to the back office for billing, and I started billing. And I liked it. I was like, okay, this is good. And then my husband received a job offer in Dallas, and I love Dallas. When I lived in Dallas, I went to college here. I was
Good.
thrilled to move back. So then, of course, when I started looking for jobs here, still worked in the trenches, front desk, at a
Nice.
primary care facility, and then I worked myself way up to billing, and then
Mm-hmm.
coding, and I did work for an ACO, did HCC coding reviews as well. I was a practice
Mm-hmm.
manager at a cardiology office here in Allen, and then it was just time when I wanted to take a break. I'd been working since I was 17, so
Mm-hmm.
when I had my daughter, I was like, okay, I'm just not going to work. I'm going to be a stay at home mom. And when she was like about 6 or 7 months old, I was like, I just felt like I was wasting away. Like I mean, I loved spending time with her,
Yep. Yep. Yep.
and everything, but I felt like I was not doing anything professionally, and that was kind of eating me up, So I was like, I need to get back into things.
Yes.
And instead of going into a full-time job, I was like, I'll just start consulting. Funny thing
Mm.
is that um, I had no clue how to do healthcare consulting at the time. I was just like, I just want to be a consultant, because it sounded fancy. So, but then one of the cardiologists that I worked with, he said, "Hey, I have a friend who's a cardiologist. His biller's leaving. Do you want to do billing for him?" And I was like, that was beneath me. I was like, I don't want to do billing. I'm a consultant. So he's like, well, that's what he needs right now. So if you can do it, And I said, okay, fine, I'll start. And then it's just became something where, one client after the other and everything, and it just became a lucrative business opportunity for me to keep doing it. And then learning so much doing billing, because I've
Mm,
done the coding thing, and I feel like I just don't have the patience reading op notes and E&M and actually doing the coding part, even though I have certifications in coding and I would never let those go, but I just feel like billing is more, it's more exciting. There's something to learn
mm,
every day. There's wrenches that are thrown at you from insurance companies and all the strange
mm.
healthcare cyber attack that we had. So
Yes,
yeah,
yes,
so
yes.
it's
We'll
never
talk
a
about
dull
that.
day. Yeah, there's never a
That's
dull
awesome.
day in billing. So
Hey,
here
I
we
have a
are.
quick
Yeah,
question.
sure.
And thank you. I mean, that's so great. So, with your father-in-law's practice, was there a chance that his wife also worked in the office, or she was working in the office?
So my mother-in-law was also a physician, but she had
Okay,
cut back um, to raise my husband and his brother, and she was a rehab physician, but she had already retired, so she
okay.
was kind of helping him out at the time when. So yeah, she was never like part of his
I
practice, but she
understand.
was kind of there, brought in as a family member to oversee things.
I
But she
understand.
wasn't the practice manager or anything like
I
that.
understand. I
Yeah.
understand. And a lot of physician offices do work like that. Even the place where my wife worked right after hygiene school, the doctor's wife would come in and be overseeing things. And I say that because even though it might have been for them a benefit to have you work within their office, they also know what it takes to be successful, and they saw a lot of those things in you. So you know, I don't think I've had a guest on the roundup share with us that. It was a mother or father-in-law or mom and dad that might have suggested, but you're going to have people within your family. I think Refka was one that talked about it recently, that it was actually, I believe, a sister or younger sister that suggested to her, maybe you should get into this. And that is so important because a lot of times your family knows you better than you know yourself. you know
Yes.
or they know that you're willing to rise to the challenge, or they can have an opportunity to teach you. One person that I met at the Lahima conference, this person's mom taught them, found out that she wrote one of the coding books and guidelines for Optum that they show everybody, and she doesn't really talk about it, but like, okay, and what happened? She taught her how to pass, how to take and pass the CCS within 6 weeks. And
Hmm.
I'm like, what? Like, is that even a thing? I'm like, okay, I need to know your mom because I might need to offer that to some of my
Yeah.
employees. Like it's like they're just some people that see it within people, and it's good that you were able to get that reference and that referral. Remember, people connections, knowing people helps, even though it may seem advantageous to them, maybe not to me. But look at all of that great experience that you got, and as you said, you were not just taking it as a job, but you really took it to learning.
Hmm.
You're taking it to learning, and even doing some of the consulting piece. And that's the thing. Coding may not be for everybody. It's perfectly okay. The whole reason that I love revenue cycle is that there's so many different things that you can do, but you can also pick your niche. If you want to go into the billing side, fantastic. You want to go into the coding side, great. I also tell people that coding is a great gateway to other things, whether that be CDI or management or risk, and there's so many different things that you can do. Epic, one person that I met at the conference, she started out more in the coding area, but now she's just more into implementation and project management. They just implemented Epic at her facility. So it's just, but she still keeps her credential because she doesn't want to let that go. So it's
Yeah.
just about doing that. So after you started getting your moving back, right, to Dallas and getting a few clients and doing some billing for this one, and that one is becoming profitable, where did you go from there in your entrepreneurial journey with your billing company?
So billing is still our primary revenue stream, but I
Okay,
do a lot of I do a lot of consulting with auditing and compliance and things like that as
good.
well. But of course, love the billing, and there's a lot of demand out there. Even though you see on LinkedIn that private practices are getting gobbled up by hospitals or insurance companies like United Healthcare and stuff, but there's still it's really nice to see that there's a lot of physicians out there who still want to maintain their independence and their autonomy.
It's
And
true.
I feel like uh, a company like mine is very much aligned with that kind of a practice, because
True.
small physician practice, they want to succeed, but they also need to kind of have some guidance as to what
Correct.
to do, because it's not just getting a location and opening your doors and seeing patients. It's not that easy, unless you are a DPC or you're just taking cash patients. That's a different story altogether. But if you do decide that you want to be a participating provider and you want to accept insurance, there's just
Hmm.
a lot of administrative stuff that comes with it. And physicians are, they're not trained in medical school for this stuff, in the business aspect of it. So they need people like us to kind of guide them through that. So that's where we come in, because a lot of the big companies don't want to take the little guy on.
Hmm.
It's like, oh, it's not worth our while. So, but for me, that's the ideal client, because
Correct.
starting at the ground level, and you're trying to build, and if we've seen so many doctors succeed that way,
Correct.
help them with starting their practice, and now they're doubling, tripling their income, and they're hiring more providers into their practice and things like that. But then also making sure that we're giving them the right advice because things change. There's so much regulation and guidelines coming through the pipeline, from
Yep.
Medicare and from payers and stuff. So making sure that we are telling them things that they probably wouldn't know otherwise. And I know
Correct.
a lot of and I don't want to put other billing companies down, because I know there's some great billing companies out there that do a lot of the good work and help physicians and whatnot. But in my experience, some of my clients have come from the other billing companies where they have not been happy. They're like, oh, we didn't know this, or we didn't know that, which is like,
Hmm.
this is just basic stuff. You should have known.
Yep.
And
Or they were
I,
sold a bag full of goods, and then they opened the bag. There were no goods in there. It was all bad.
yes, yes.
Yep. Yep.
So
Yep.
we
We have
try
those
to
too.
be we try to be like a one-stop shop for them, to
Hmm.
kind of help them with the compliance part and the management part and things like that. But honestly speaking, it's the billing part that excites me, and
Good.
it's a continuous revenue stream, so that pays the bills and
Good
and
for
and
you.
keeps us employed. So that's something that I do feel like it's something that I would always just take it forward.
Good.
But then I also am looking into doing more independent projects and things like that for providers needing different services like practice management and compliance and auditing and stuff, because there's a great demand for that as well.
Yep, absolutely, absolutely. And I think what you're trying to say, if you don't mind me rephrasing, working with some of those smaller providers is probably a better relationship for you because you're able to help them. And if you have expertise and if this is your field, just like we don't go telling a doctor what to do or what to prescribe, they also shouldn't tell you the same thing for billing. I'm not defending you, but as you consultants and owners will know when you're working with these clients, it's not always easy. And you know the answer, it's black and white. You may even have the reference material, but if they are not receptive to what they should be doing, and not just protecting yourself with your credentials, but also protecting them, because the fees are going to come back. And if the payers start denying stuff, then they start looking into all other kinds of things. So it's like that whole what Jerry Maguire, like help me help you. Like
Mhm.
and when you have those folks that will give you that independence, that autonomy, and I call it giving you the keys. And that's a lot of responsibility. But if they trust you and if you're like, hey, this is why, and if you communicate very well, our clients hear from us a lot more than we hear from them. And that's probably the way that it should be. But it's really sad when clients are stuck or they have issues or things start happening and they cannot hear from their vendor or their provider. And a lot of things happen when they just don't know what they just don't know. So they're just working business as usual, but then one of us come in and we're like, whoa, this is interesting and this is interesting. And the more you start to peel back stuff, you realize, this is what, okay, we can't do that, let's not do that because that's not good. So okay, cool.
Yeah.
And then let's move forward. So I'm all about the independence and getting the keys, not independence that you're just running the whole show, but you're letting them know you're communicating and they are trusting you to help them because you've helped so many other people. It's hard to find those relationships though.
Yeah. And you hit the nail on the head when you said trust, because that is the bottom line. That's the crux of everything. It's building that trust with the providers. And like the physicians that I work with, I'm like, look, I'm not telling you how to practice medicine because I did not go to medical school. I don't
Hmm.
treat a patient. I don't know how to diagnose a patient. That's your job. But then I also need the respect that I deserve from all the years of my education in the billing and coding and compliance sector, where you need to trust me that I'm giving you the right information. And ultimately, we're on their side. If we're
Sure.
telling them that you're overcoding or you're billing something incorrectly or this or that, we're on your side. We're giving you an opportunity to correct it now before you get audited by a peer, because that's not going to be a practice audit. That's going to be an actual audit where they're going to claw back money that you
Mm,
will not be in a position to give back.
correct.
So let's go ahead and work on prevention, and let's go ahead and mitigate the risks, and
Correct.
that's what it is. And sometimes, like, I just posted it yesterday, and it was funny because that post got like over 300 likes. That was just my rant. That
Another rant. Here we go. Tell them
and
about it if they missed
and,
it.
and it was the same thing. That So we've let clients go also who have not aligned with us. When I
Mm,
was establishing my company, because I needed clients, I kind of went with whatever, and I was like,
correct.
okay, and I never spoke up. I never spoke my mind.
Listen, this is a gem.
Yeah, I never spoke my mind because I'm like, okay, if I lose this client, I'm gonna have to lay people off, or there were just a lot of financial decisions that go into that. It's not an easy decision to make. But as you know more, you can't turn a blind eye. You just can't turn away from that, because when
Mm,
you know better, you do better, right? So now I'm in a
mm,
position where I am like, okay, if I know that you're doing something wrong, I will give you an opportunity to correct it, but I will make that decision that, okay, this you're not you're not beneficial. This relationship that we have is not beneficial. It's not mutually beneficial. Let's say that. But so I'm ready to walk away from a client like that, and we have in the past where we've identified some issues, and the physicians have completely denied doing any wrongdoing, and they're like, no, they just wanted to continue doing what they were doing, and I was like, okay,
mm-hmm.
then I can't be a part of it. But then what the sad part is that the same physician went like 5 miles down the road to another billing company, and they just took him on
Mm-hmm.
without anything. It's like, and then he came back and he's like, oh, these people don't have a problem with me. So I'm like, all right, well, if you get audited, then that's not something that I want to, that's not the risk or I want to take onto myself or my company.
Correct.
um especially with the credentials that I've earned over the years. I don't want to put them at risk either. So just a lot of you have to balance. I feel like what is actually worth for you. Is it the money? Because money will come. Even if when you're doing the right thing, the money will take care of itself. That's how I
Correct.
feel.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
when you're chasing that money, then there will be questionable things that you're going to be doing, and you'll be able to justify it too. It's like, oh yeah, that's fine, because you're so used to that money.
Mm-hmm.
So
Be careful though.
it's
Be careful.
it's yeah, it's a really slippery slope, but I
Yeah.
think we're trying to find the right balance. I think we're there
Absolutely.
now.
Absolutely. And you shared some great gems, and I see that Ida shared one of them. You said, when you know better, you do better. And that is so true. And you know what? If you have to walk away from a job, a client, a professional relationship, a connection, because your let's say goals and aspirations and motives and ethics don't align with theirs, that's okay. And I'll empower each and every one of you. And here's another one that you may not have heard, but maybe this will be a gem for you. It's not that they're bad people, but they're just not good for you.
Yeah,
It's
true.
not that they're bad people, they're just not good for you. There are some clients that will dictate to the billing and the vendors and the staffing companies what they should do and how they should do it. And we're not paying for this and we're not paying for this. And you know what? There'll be others that they're so busy, they're so overwhelmed. All they need is to give you the keys, but also let us know as things are going and let's say changes are made. And that's what we have one client. We know we can run up the bill if we want to because nobody's watching. We know we can do all of these things, but you know what? We still come back and we're keeping our relationship. Any changes we have to make, we let them know. We have very clear invoicing. It's itemized. They can go through the ringer. They can check their systems. I don't just put, for example, that my person worked 40 hours when they work 38 and a half. I put the 38 and a half and they can check with them. Like, you have to work on those ethics, because I love the way that you're acquiring your additional clients, and I have the same motto. What is that motto? My clients are going to be my salespeople. I want my clients to just love the service that we're doing, and once they see, because my contact is a CFO, so once he sees the numbers are going in a positive direction, and he's not hearing a lot of bad stuff from his staff, but actually opposite. Wow, Renown is doing this. Renown is doing this. He's going to have less headache, and when he goes to a conference or something, hopefully he can drop a name. Hey, Bertram, like, does such a great job. You want to contact this guy? Hey, he just texted me. Call him. Give him somebody else to bother. But like, you want that, when you have your own company, when you have your own, even your career, you want people to be able to talk about you in a very good light. Oh my goodness, I just appreciate Rozmin so much because she came through, and we've increased not only revenue, but our compliance is way up. And if we have an issue, we don't just sweep it under the rug or putting in this long forgotten queue. No, we take care of it. We ask questions. We, our DNFB or whatever is like way down. Like, our numbers are positive, and submissions and stuff is out the door. That's what you want. And the other side for me, treat my people so well that they will be our recruitment, that I'll talk to them and they'll know what we're about. And what, they start talking to other people, because what, great people know other great people. And I think that's what happened with one of the conversations that I mentioned earlier. I talked to this person and they brought the lady with the blue dress, and I was like, I didn't expect her. Like, it's fine, but I think maybe she's just testing me to see if she should bring this person in. Now, little feedback real quick. We have this person I mentioned, great conversation. It's so inspiring, and we really appreciate everything that you do, because there is a lot of bad out there in the vendor world. And for us that are stepping up to doing the right thing with the right ethics and just being open and honest about it and truthful is fantastic. Now, I want to ask you a question, okay? What do you think, and what's your honest opinion about this whole Change Healthcare, United Healthcare situation? If you have not been in the news or living under a rock in revenue cycle, that's okay. But it's estimated anywhere between 50 to 75% of billings was stopped due to a cyber attack by this cyber group called, I think they called themselves the Black Cat or something like that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Anyway, and shut down the system and all of this stuff. This has been a major issue because we didn't all realize. Some people, it's funny, some people and even doctors have been talking about all of the acquisitions that have been going on in this arena. And now it comes to light that there's a cyber attack, charges are not going through. Major issue, because now if the providers are not able to submit using the same systems, they cannot get paid or reimbursed. So they now have to still pay their employees, and they're running out of cash. It looks like some relief has come to that, but just what is your thought and your opinion about the whole situation? I'm not saying please, let's clarify. We're not saying that they're a bad company or anything. We're not saying that. We're just saying, I'm just asking your opinion. What do you think about the situation, and what could we do as healthcare to be better prepared for situations like this in the future?
Okay, so yes, so whatever happened, it was very unfortunate that it happened.
Absolutely.
And of course, it can happen to anybody. So to say that, oh, Change and United being such big companies, they should have done better with security. Absolutely, they probably should have. But there are hackers, very sophisticated hackers out there that can do things. The good thing that they did was they shut down their systems immediately. So there was no more damage to be caused, right? So that was the good thing.
Good.
The bad thing is all the fallout that happened because of this, because people, we were not able to send in claims electronically. The payments are not coming. So I will give you an example.
So
Yeah.
were you affected as well? Like,
Yeah.
did you have a provider? Okay, so you're hearing from a true testimonial by somebody that does this thing for day to day and has employees doing this on a day-to-day basis, and they couldn't do their job. Okay.
Right. So what we do is we work in the client's software. So we don't have a proprietary billing software. So there were a couple of softwares that we work in for the clients. Those were heavily affected more than the others because those particular softwares were directly engaging with Change Healthcare as their primary clearinghouse.
Okay.
So that got impacted big time. We had no ERAs coming in. And then the ripple effect that happened was that the claims were getting sent, but they were kind of going into a black hole. So we were getting communication every single day that keep doing what you're doing, because they were trying to fix things at the back end. So what they were doing is they were actually switching over from change to availability. So, but they have millions and millions of claims to process. So they were like, just keep sending the claims electronically the way you're sending, but then we're going to release them, because they have to test the system, right? You can't just flip a switch and just turn everything over. You can't do
Sure.
that. You got to do testing and all of that, right? So they were
Mhm.
testing these claims a few batches at a time, and then they were sending us reports that, okay, successful batch, now we can send more, now we can send more. So right now, as of today, the claim submission part has been resolved. Those are all the
Okay.
claims are going through electronically. Another solution that we had was just put everything on paper and submit. But then, Bartram, you have to understand, paper snail mail, that's also going to take
True.
that long, when you have to mail those claims. And then I was also looking, and I was talking to my employees, and I'm like, okay, we have to also consider that they have to have somebody at the other end opening these envelopes and processing these claims. So it's like, do they even have enough
So if the volume
people?
goes up drastically, do they have enough people, enough staff? Yes.
Exactly,
Mm.
exactly. So then we heeded the advice of the software company and trusted them that they were taking care of things on their end. And then we did send out broadcast communication to our clients and our providers that
Mhm.
expect a little bit lower payments in March, and they were all okay with that. They were like, okay, and we were like, okay, if we have to send paper claims, like if there's payers that they just cannot send electronically because of smaller payers, we will send them on paper, and we did. But the major ones, like Medicare and Blue Cross and United, those are some major ones, and you have hundreds and thousands of claims. There's no way we were going to put those on paper and start mailing them out, because who knows if they were going to even get there, if we did it like this,
That's
right? So
true.
that was another risk that we were running into. So as of today, the claims are going electronically just fine. We're still seeing the ripple effect of them processing those claims, so the payments are not coming in as quickly. So I'm thinking that it's going to sort itself out. It probably will take another 2 to 3 weeks for us to really get back to normal with all the payments coming in.
Mhm.
Um, the big picture that we would have to look at is that we're talking about having a single payer system in this country. This is a huge wake up call right now, because already with United being so big and they're having all of these companies under them, they're attacked and things have come to a halt, pretty much.
Mhm.
Imagine if there's a single payer system and they get attacked, so I don't know, it's going to be catastrophic, right? So I'm thinking that maybe now more conversations will be had about
Sure.
if that was a good idea to begin with, or do we need to centralize everything? Do we need to decentralize, and do we need to have multiple, it's clearinghouses and multiple payer systems who are processing these claims? So that's the big picture kind of a conversation I feel that needs to be
Mhm.
had. But yes,
Wow.
there was definitely a direct impact of Change Healthcare fiasco. Absolutely.
And I believe another thing, I believe prior authorizations, when a patient shows up and they just need to, let's say, even just verify insurance, even that was affected. So this was a pretty hard situation, because let's just even say you're not even worried about the hospital bill getting paid, not paid, even just for somebody to be seen, it was a big issue, because they're almost like questioning, well, we need to verify your insurance. Every time you go to a doctor's office, what's the first thing they ask you? Has your information changed, right? Or do you have your card? And my kids, when they're coming in, they're checking even before we show up. They
Mhm.
run it, they make sure, okay, you're cool. And and if that is not even working, that could even end up having a delay of care. And I mean, there's been a lot of fallout from it. We're not necessarily blaming them, because they're not the hackers, and I mean, it does affect them financially. But yes, questions are being raised and are being asked if there are things that could be better. I do, just my prediction, I see a lot of fallout from this, because I think the smaller guys will be empowered.
Mhm.
because the smaller guys were fine. I got in contact with a few of them. Hey, what about this? What are you guys doing? And they're like, we're okay. We're not using that one. We're going this way. And I'm like,
Yeah.
cool. Because the last time a really big thing like this happened when I was in corporate a few years ago, even though um it wasn't their fault and whatever, like no one trusted the system and people were like, you know what is it? A percentage? Like, if do I get a really a big discount or same price by going to another vendor that doesn't utilize the same change? And they just change to another vendor. So I definitely see a big thing, but I am somewhat happy and glad with some of the stuff that's come through by the cries of some of our doctors. There's a doctor on LinkedIn named, I think it crosses me, doctor, I think it's Christine Myers. Anyway,
Yeah.
I'll try to put her information. And I mean, she was giving us updates on LinkedIn like day by day, and she
Yeah.
was showing you like, hey, this is what they offered. And so it's nice to see that some of that stuff has stepped up, but it's, as you said, it's a big wake up call. And
Hmm.
if we do, I mean, I didn't even think about it like that. If we do
Hmm.
go to a single payer, system or platform, what if that doesn't work? Like, can people still see the doctor, or are they going to have backup systems that, hey, we shut things down or we're updating, but you can still check from today? Like, we definitely need to think outside the box, because we just can't all shut down because we have just one way to get to where we all want to get to. So that's definitely a very big wake up. I didn't realize, and that was not planned, ladies and gentlemen. I didn't realize that you were also working with a client that might have been affected by that. So you're able to see that, and yeah, bring us some interesting questions. Hmm.
Yeah. Thankfully, we weren't affected as bad as Dr. Meyer was. I don't know what system she uses, and I don't know like why she was impacted that much.
Hmm.
But yes, we've seen the impact, but it has not been so bad, so
Yeah.
thankfully. But I did see one of her posts, what United was offering her, what Optum was
Hmm.
offering her. And so that triggered me to like go look for what our providers were getting. So she wrote something like she was getting like $4,000, and I was like,
Yeah.
okay. And she was complaining about that, and she's like, 4,000 is atrocious and whatnot. So I went to see a couple of other our providers, and they were getting like $200, and I was like, well, compared to her, I mean, compared to this, I mean, she's
Yeah.
getting like so much more. So,
But I
but I'm
also
sure her
saw that,
volume is a lot.
yeah,
Yeah.
her volume is like so crazy. So, it's hard. I mean, she even had family coming in the office and trying to help submit paper claims and stuff. It was so bad. I even reached out. She got in contact with me, and we had a quick little LinkedIn chat. So, but I'm glad that things were resolved. So she was able to get some private funding from a support company that she knows. I don't believe they're going to do it out of interest or anything crazy like that. So she didn't need to go that way. When you have contacts and friends and connections that can help you out like that, so you can at least meet payroll. And that's the thing, like, you're there too. Like, for me, it's not even about me getting paid or anything. If I can make sure that my
Hmm.
employees are taken care of so they can take care of their families, I can go without pay. Like, it doesn't,
Yeah.
like, it's okay. I rather get credit card charges or whatever. But if my employees can't get paid, oh, no, no, no. Now and I think that's why she was very passionate about it, because it was just about everything else, and they were looking into mortgaging the house. I mean, it was
Yeah.
big,
Yeah. It
and
was
that's
very,
the
yeah.
and that's the thing. When you do put your name on the line, yes, you may get all the accolades and stuff, but we put our livelihoods and our family livelihoods on up like every single day when we come to work. So
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
really
I
appreciate you.
agree.
I'm just wondering, how many employees do you have within your organization?
Right now I have 10,
Nice.
and we're growing. I'm very big on keeping the business in the country.
Good.
Um,
Good for you.
I, I know there are some good offshore companies out there, but I don't endorse that. Um,
Well,
I
my whole
may
thing is,
get some hate for that
no, no,
here,
no.
but
It's fine, and I'm the same way, because and this is my whole thing. I'm not against overseas work and things. I mean, it's absolutely fine. My whole thing is, should we really be looking to outsource work if we have domestic help available? And this is a great tag into the next question. So, you know, the last question, and probably the last question I'll ask you today, is, do you think billing and getting involved in billing or working for a billing company, because I do see a lot of them post and they're willing to train people. Let's say I have a hard time getting my first, coding position, my first coding job, or whatever it is within health information. Do you think working in billing, front desk, front office, something within this spectrum within revenue cycle, right? Not that golden ticket job we are all looking for, can be a good possibility for us.
Absolutely. That's how I started. So yeah,
Mm.
absolutely. Get your foot in the door. I actually was a part. My company was a part of the AAPC Extern program for a while,
Okay,
and I had coders reaching out to me, and I actually have coders that work for me. But we don't do real actual coding. Uh,
correct.
but but yeah, I've kind of brought them to the dark side. That's what I tell them. Like I brought you to the dark side, to
You are
billing.
coming to the dark side.
Yes. So yes, absolutely. Getting your foot in the door. I stopped. I took myself off the extern program from AAPC because I was just getting bombarded with emails, and I'm like, I'm a little tiny company. I can't bring everybody in, So
Mm,
that was my thing, and I just didn't want to like just turn people away, and because I felt bad about it. But
I understand.
I've 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 had people who started with me through that program, with the externship
Mm,
program, and then if when they showed their capability, and it has to be an interest, right? Because I'm very upfront with them, and I'm like, I know you're a CPCA, but you're going to work with codes, you're going to work with diagnosis codes and CPT codes every single
hmm.
day, but you're going to be working a life cycle of a claim. It's revenue. It's not like you're reading reports and you're coding. And a lot of times what happens is that coders that come out of these programs and stuff, they think that they can make a certain amount of money, and if that's not what they hear from me or
Hmm.
from their prospective employer, it deflates their thing. That it's like, okay, well, I was told that I could make this much money and I can work remote on day one. And I think there's a lot of misinformation out there. I think you
There
still
is.
have to hustle, and you still have to be resilient, and you still have to work hard to get to, like,
True.
you can't be a new coder, a CPCA, and you come in front of me and say that you want to be like me right now, because this was not me 20 years ago when I started this, right? I
True.
was also in that same place. So yes, billing is a really good place to start. And a lot of times, coders are like, oh, I really like this better. I don't want to be a
That's
coder.
true.
But
You
I
might
think
not
with
know.
billing, it's the pay scale is lower, and that's what sometimes, people. And I've had coders who've gotten trained and who worked for me for a couple of years and have left for coding jobs, and that's perfectly fine. I'm not somebody who can stand in their way when they want to succeed and make more money, and they have
Good
my
for you.
blessing, and we're still on good terms. I'd like to keep as many people as possible, but that's not
True.
always the case. There's always turnover when you have a business.
Yes.
And but yes, to answer your question, yes, get your foot in the door, work as a receptionist in a doctor's office. Do some insurance verification, get some prior authorization experience. All of that counts towards the education. None of
It
that
does.
goes to waste.
It does. It does. And as I mentioned earlier, the ghost that I met at the show, she has worked as a nurse and she's done many other things in healthcare. So when she was looking at the chart, she's now more on the CDI side. But when she looks at the chart, she sees the whole story behind it, the front, the
Mhm.
back, the op notes, like she sees everything. So she really is able to dig in. And it's about bringing that experience that just makes you a better employee.
Yeah.
So what Rosman is saying is, billing might be an option for those folks who are struggling to find their first jobs. Yes, maybe the pay scale is not as high as what you're expecting, but you know what? All experience counts. It's only going to help you. You'll be able to better speak about it. And you know what? You may like that better than doing something else. Because if everybody was meant to go out there and be a coder, who would be doing the billing? And you might be able to, to grow up and have the big
Yeah.
girl job like Rosman does with your own little billing company. And then if you want to do coding and consulting and dive deeper into that, it's all about starting, but you don't even know where you're going to end up because you haven't started the journey on your first step. And we're not telling people to not acquire and try for those jobs. But when I was knocking on the door for 3.5 years for the first recruiting job, and if they said, Bertram, we will hire you as a recruiting assistant, I would have started, because a recruiting assistant is just one step closer. And every step is not your final destination. So it's okay. I can do this for 6 months. I can do it for a year and be the best recruiting assistant. So when you get the next opportunity, boom, it's all you, right? Or your friends leave and then they bring you onto that other company. So It's just fantastic for that. Anything last that you'd like to say to our audience and just about what you're doing right now and helping your clients?
Yeah, I mean, again, thank you for the opportunity to be on here and to be able to. I'm looking at the comments, and I like your audience. You know, a lot of interest here. I just wanna say that be realistic in your expectations. When you, I mean, this is just for new aspiring coders and people who want to get into the revenue cycle, business or area and everything. Just learn as much as you can.
Correct.
Learning is very important. I follow a lot of podcasts, Terry Fletcher and Sean Weiss and all of them. And I learn things every single day, so don't feel that, oh, I've arrived, because you're never arrived. You're always
Correct.
and you're always you're always, in transit, right? So I think that, and be humble in in
Mm,
in your knowledge, and then share your expertise, and the reason that my posts, I believe, resonate with so many people on LinkedIn is because I speak from the trenches. I feel, because I'm seeing what the ground realities, and that's what I share. I know that there's a lot of people who will just, you know, share the surface level stuff, but I kind of go
true.
down deep into it, and
But
share all the dirty stuff too, which
LinkedIn, it's so funny you said that because for the last, I'd say prior, so let's just say 2020. So 2015 to 2020 on LinkedIn was all of the rosy stuff. You know what? I went into the job and I didn't get it, and it was the best thing that ever happened. Like we're all like, come on, like come on, come on. But you know what really resonates now?
yeah,
What happened? Yes, you know what? I was on the plane and I had a 4 hour delay. It was not fun. And that resonates with people these days. You being authentic, you being genuine, you failing and you sharing, yep, I failed the interview and I think it's because of this and I don't know why they ghosted me. And then you get all of this support and hey, you should talk to this person. Like we can recognize fake within 2 seconds
mhm.
of anything, whether it be a
Oh,
resume or
absolutely.
anything.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
even if let's say you're on the apprentice journey and you can't find the job, speak about what you're seeing. Speak about that you're having a hard time. What did Dr. Chris do? She got on there and she's like, you know what, this whole situation is messed up. Why? Because of this, because of this. Our expenses is this, and they're offering this. Like that's what resonates with people.
Hmm.
People recognize real. What do they say in hip hop? Real recognize real. Like you just know, and I appreciate you for that. And we can all tell, but you know what? Keep on keep on venting on LinkedIn. I appreciate
Awesome.
it. And we all learn a whole lot. So if you
Thank
haven't
you.
already, please connect with Rozmin. She is great. I really appreciate you because I know this is not your usual form. Like I don't have my face on today. It's okay. But you know what? You're fantastic and genuineness always resonates. So we'll connect a little bit later. And yeah, if you haven't already, connect with her, send a connection request. Just let her know that you saw her in the roundup. And I am just open invitation. When we start doing season 2 and some evening sessions and all that stuff, I'm going to think about you, remember you. Okay.
Awesome. I just want to say one last thing.
Sure.
I remember. I think you said this before we went on line, that good people attract other good people, and you
True.
can see the genuineness, and you can see the integrity and honesty, and I see the same in you. So you come across as that very genuine person, and you said this is a selfless act that you're doing, and it comes across in your demeanor,
Oh,
in your words that you are saying. So and I'm really happy to be associated with people like you, and everybody that you've had on your show here. I'm connected
thank
to
you.
all of them, and I think we're all kind of very like-minded people, and that's
True.
how we're attracted to each other, because we're so genuine, and because we want this healthcare business to flourish, and
True.
people to succeed, and yeah, if everybody needs to succeed, and we should all cheer for each other, absolutely.
Thank you so much for saying that. That was unsolicited. I really appreciate it. But I'll just tell ladies and gentlemen a quick little story. My wife is Korean, so we watch Korean TV, and I remember way back when they had these like young up and coming comedians, and they were not that funny. I understand some Korean, and they were translated, jokes, and some of them was not funny. And the senior guys would make fun of them, da 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 da. And so it's kind of interesting. You know what happened now? Fast forward 10 or so years later, these up and comers are ruling the industry. They are the top paid comedians in Korea, and the older guys, they have their businesses and their families, so they're kind of going on the way out. I say that to say this: a lot of the subject matter experts I see on the roundup, I know for sure, including you guys and ladies are going to rule the industry. Who do you think the next, presidents of AHIMA, AAPC, and all these people are going to be? They're likely going to be some of the people you see on these shows because they're out there, they're forward, they talk, they have influence, and that brings you opportunity. And a lot of times it may be more than a job. I'm getting introduced now and asked to speak in events. Pretty soon I'll be speaking at some bigger event. And like it comes because you've been doing it. And as you said, people can always tell when it's genuine. And we usually don't charge for those things. So people are like, a free speech, like, why not? But it comes. So I just see all of what you're doing. And you know what? Even if it's not anything to help my business and anything like that, I've learned a lot just by you being on here. I even took some notes, so that's the thing, as she said, you're never too, old or mature to learn, and you'll never arrive. I remember when I was like the top performer recruiter in my company, I thought to myself, is this it? Like, is this what I was really striving for? Can I do it again? And can I do it in a different industry? Like, the arrival fallacy is real. And if you don't know what that is, you may want to Google that. But we're over an hour, and I didn't even think we were going to talk about billing and everything for over an hour, but this is awesome. I love it. And if you need to see replays, this is always recorded. So Rozmin, I'm going to let you go. Thank you so much for being a part of the roundup, and we'll be in touch soon. Okay.
Thank you. Bye.
All right. Have a good one. Bye-bye. Wow. Gems, ladies and gentlemen, gems. So many gems. I want to go to the comments just for a little bit. Okay. So very knowledgeable, well-spoken, nice lady. I learned a lot. Seasons of life, humility, excited. Your vibe attracts your tribe. I said that a few weeks ago. This is awesome. I have somebody reaching out to me because I said I was going to call them around this time, but that's okay. It's okay. All right. The situation should be a huge wake-up call for everybody in regards to the Optum change healthcare situation, and all of that. Yada also said Insanity's doing the same thing, expecting a different result. So when you have to walk away from those situations, it's very okay. It's usually for your benefit as well as theirs too. Okay. So Yeda says that Bertram is a godsend. I don't know about that. Send my wife a message. No. I joke about my wife all the time. She's fantastic. The best thing that's ever happened to me with my kids. And it's because you're about the people, very selfless. So thank you, Rozmin, and thank you, Yeda, as well. And you will never arrive. So thank you for sharing those gems. Really appreciate you. Hey, really quickly, pay attention, okay? Do I still have an audience? Did you all sign off? Okay, because we're over an hour. This is for the real ones, okay? The real ones, okay? We don't have a lot of jobs. I just have one. Oh, what is this? Hold on, let's bring this up. What is this? Entry-level credential medical coder position. And is this with Renown Talent? Is Renown Talent hiring entry-level coders? No, nobody hires entry-level coders. Where can you find an entry-level remote coding job? This is a little snippet. This is something I wanted to share with the roundup guests. There's been a benefit for you attending. Bertram, are you hiring entry-level coders today? No. Something we're looking to do in the future? Absolutely. But all I can tell you is to go to the website. If you are entry-level credential coder, apply for the job, and we are looking to announce something in the near future. So I have no details. If you apply today, we will not be in contact with you. This is for a future job posting. This is an evergreen posting, but we are looking to do something to provide more entry-level coding staff opportunities. Okay, so you do not need experience. You do need to have a credential, because if you start with this program and this thing that we're planning to do at Renown Talent, you're not going to have time to take any credentialing tests. So you're going to need to have your credential. Yes, CCA and CPCAs are encouraged to apply. We do accept those. We might need to look into the AAPC externship program. I didn't know about that. Maybe part of Rozmin being here is to share that, hey, there's this program, right? But we do not have a job just yet, but a lot more details to come. So if this is you, please apply. Feel free to share with your network, because once we announce this and this goes live, we are going to need a lot of applicants. So Bertram, when should I likely hear something or update in regards to this job opportunity? I'll say within the next month or two. So hopefully by the end of May, we have something solid for each and every one of you, if not sooner. And you know, when I have an update, what I'm going to do, I'm of course going to broadcast it on, I'll probably schedule a special LinkedIn live session, or if it happens just before one of my regularly scheduled posts, either on Mondays or Wednesdays, I'm going to share with you live. Hey, guess what? Guess what we're doing? We're going to reach out to you soon. Like, we're going to announce that. But I just see a job posting for Renown Talent for an entry-level credential medical coder, but I have no details yet. More details to come. If you send me a message, what I'm going to tell you, more details to come. Okay, and just stay in touch with us, and we'll be in touch with you. All right. Cool. So this is a question. I may need to table this because, I mean, we're running way over. So you're not skilled at networking. You're at an event. You're online. And you're like, well, Bertram, where do I start? I don't know what to do. You know what? Networking is simple. It's about making friends before you need them. How do you make a friend? Hey, how are you doing? You introduce yourself. Hey, how are you doing? I am Bertram. I run a little staffing agency, but you know what? I'm not reaching out to you about staffing today. I just wanted to get connected with like-minded people. I see that you're interested in this. I see that we have some similar connections. I met people from your employer. They said that you'd be somebody great to connect with. Let's connect. Second message after they connect with me, this is likely on LinkedIn. Hey, I appreciate us connecting. And then I just leave it. Let it sit for like a week or two. And then if there's something I really want to ask them, then I usually wait a little bit and then I ask. But if you can at any point in time, try to offer value, try to like their post, try to see that you're showing interest in them. When you view their profile, they'll see that you viewed their profile. When you like something that they posted, they'll see that you liked it. When you share something that they posted, they'll see that. And then your name becomes synonymous with Mr. B, Mr. B. Why is Mr. B all up in my stuff? You don't want to be a stalker. Don't like go and like 10 of their things, but show interest and reach out to them. Give them feedback on their posts. And you know what? I doubt a lot of people are doing that. And then maybe in the near future or in the later future, you may have an opportunity or know somebody or just be doing your research. Hey, who works at this facility or this employer? What? Hey, I know Amy. Hey, Amy, what's going on? Remember I like messaged you some time ago? I just want to ask you a question. Do you happen to know the hiring manager for this position? I actually happen to be the hiring manager. It's happened. It happens. Okay. And feel free to reach out to these people, because once you do, they will usually come out of their shell. If you can do it in person, it's even more helpful. As you can tell, my phone is ringing because work is calling, but it's okay. I should message them that just give me a minute. Give me 1 second. All right. The next. So let's go ahead and let's go to anyone and let's share the information. Anyone that went ahead and shared that they're looking for an opportunity. Hold on. So Yetta Evans, she shared that she's currently looking for an opportunity within, she's in Atlanta, Georgia. So coding, HCC, risk adjustment, and claims. Okay. NSF billing, I believe this person is from India. Thank you for that. Yetta said that her email is Yetta Evans. If I'm moving too fast, hiring managers, recruiters, all of these are comments, and they're shared within the comments on LinkedIn. I'm not too sure if they're showing on YouTube, but go to LinkedIn. You can find this post, and then you can go through, and every comment is shared on there. Okay. Melissa said earlier she's glad that she made it. We're glad that you made it as well. Thank you. We have Jennifer, a CPCA, looking for HCC risk adjustment, coding, billing, AR specialist positions. JB Poulter at gmail.com. Thank you. And I think I have to go now more to the bottom because we have a lot more. Okay, cool. So that's all that we had for the comments. So Yetta says that she's applying now. We hope that you do. And Stephanie says that thank you, Bertram, that you also read engaging posts and make more meaningful connections. That's absolutely true. I think we even talked about it. Okay. So our next roundup is going to be, let's hide this one. Our next roundup is going to be next week, Wednesday, and we're going to have Christine Hall. We haven't decided exactly what her topic is going to be or what she'd like to focus on. in terms of her expertise, because she's known for a lot of things, whether they be like compliance, billing, and coding. I actually had the pleasure of meeting Christine. She may not remember, but actually, I believe I had the pleasure of meeting Christine out of Florida HEMA some years ago. But yeah, I'm looking forward to that conversation, and that's next week, Wednesday at 12. So yeah, you've heard it here. We've shared a lot. We even shared a entry-level coding position. Job numbers are a little bit down right now, but that's okay, because as soon as we see some more that might more interest our audience and our viewership, we're definitely going to share them. Not last week, the week before last, our roundup had up to 100 live viewers at one time. I checked the stats. You can check the stats as well. Had up to 100 people live. I know once we bring this thing to being more in the evening time, it's going to be fire. So really looking forward to it. I appreciate you, as I always say, and I inspire you to do, be renowned or be forgotten. You want to be remembered for something, or you doing something fantastic within your normal day-to-day, even at your child's soccer practice, like helping a little one tie their shoe. People see that and people remember that. People remember you and what you bring to the table. And that's where all the opportunities come. So I really appreciate Rozmin for being on here. Appreciate you as well, because we couldn't be here without you. And I'm telling you, we're taking this all the way to the top. Okay. Really appreciate you. Carmen is asking, hey, where do I apply? You need to go on the Renown Talent website, renowntalent.com/careers. renowntalent.com/careers. Okay. So Stephanie says that fire is now, the inferno is next. Oh, I like that. I'm going to take that one. I might use that one if you don't mind. But it's all good. Hey, all right. I got to go. You got to go. You got to get back to your work. Thank you so much. Have a good one. Bye-bye.